Right, thank you guys for tuning in. We've got our host Facey and Sydney from Migrant Money Australia.
Being an immigrant, things are definitely not easy, especially when you're not familiar with basically anything. Sydney and I both came to Australia as immigrants and we did not have this support or community, so that's why we're here.
And look, we're here to be like this community to help immigrants get started investing, creating wealth in a new country, and to be financially confident. Because then the goal for this is we want to teach the next generation about money.
Absolutely.
All right, Facey, let me know. So who are you?
Yep, so I feel like we do this every episode, but let's do it again. My name is Faizi. I am 24 years old. I came to Australia in 2007 and I was born in Pakistan, Karachi to be specific, and I speak Urdu. What about you?
Right, Sydney, nice to meet you all. So I arrived in Australia in 2008 and then I'm from Nicaragua, so I speak Spanish.
Wonderful. So the topic of this podcast is managing money as an immigrant. So we're going to go into all the different aspects of money. Of course, we can't talk about every aspect in more detail, but we'll kind of go over it at a high level. So we'll talk about budgeting, saving, investing, and buying property as well. So we'll start off with you, Sydney. First of all, how do you budget and how does your money system look like?
I gotta say, my budget's not that great.
Okay, what? That's
Because
surprising.
to be honest, I'm a spender. I'm not a saver.
Really?
Yeah, I am a spender. Like, I'm not gonna lie and say that whatever, I save every cent. No.
It's surprising, but okay.
No, but the only thing that I figure out for myself to what to do is a while back when I started looking into budgeting, it was the zero sum budget.
Right.
So pretty much allocate every dollar to something, so it doesn't go to waste.
Yeah.
And then pretty much all that I did was as well. The other thing that I did was I don't know if you heard about Pay Yourself First.
Yes.
So
various books.
Yes, a lot of books talk about it, and everything that's budgeting, they talk about that a lot. And then what that meant for me is when I got paid, and then I got paid monthly. So once a month, that's it, done and dusted. Yeah. So it's not like I get weekly and that sort of stuff to help out. So I had to use every dollar that I got. So that means that the first thing that I did is got the money. Then I had a X amount to actually invest and saved. So boom, done and dusted, invested it off.
Yep. And
that means I can't touch it. That's what it is. Then the rest of the money that I had left for me, that was used to pay bills. So whatever, I had a bit of a budget to spend in buying takeaway, going out, see friends, that sort of stuff, because you have to have that little bit of money.
Yeah.
But then let's say, I think one thing that I did bad at the beginning was because I was still learning how to budget, that suddenly I ended up with no money to do any of that. So it's like, all right, guys, I don't think I can go out. I'm broke.
Yeah, because the thing is, you've already spent the money for your investing, so you can't really sell. You don't want to sell because obviously, tax and
I gotta say that took a while for me to actually get used to and then do things properly. Because then back then it was like, oh, maybe investing too much, maybe investing too little, until I found the actual right balance for me.
Yeah.
And then right now, pretty much that's what I do, because I'm a spender and I'm afraid to waste money and spend everything. It's like, no, just zero sum, just allocate everything to something, and then that's it. Call it a day.
It's good system.
But yeah, I'm not really a saver. That's a bad thing.
That's quite surprising. I thought you were more on the saving side. I mean, looking at judging by your assets and your liabilities and I thought you were.
Look, it's a journey. That's what it is. It's. I reckon it's a bit of luck as well, and as well getting used to it. Because that's what I say. I'm not a saver. I'm a spender, and then I used to spend everything. It was bad until I decided to be mindful about it, and then thinking, okay, now I need to invest. I need to think about my future, that sort of stuff. And then so it was tough at the beginning. And then now, pretty much, if you see me, it's like, oh, you got your shit together. But then in the inside, it's like,
the journey.
But it took me a while to get there.
100%. Look, that's why we're here. The journey is, we're going to talk about that. Yeah. But in terms of your current money management, so what you do is your money comes in, then you transfer it immediately to your brokerage accounts, invest the money, and then whatever you have left over is kind of gets allocated. So you're still following a zero sum budget
same thing
strategy. Yeah.
I think the only thing that's changed now is when I get dividends every now and then, I just see it in the account, like in the brokerage account, and I'm like, oh wait, look, I have $100. Where'd that come from? So that's the only funny thing that I can say that happens now. And then same thing, when I see that, it's like, okay, cool, just invest it, allocate it, put it somewhere, don't just waste it.
Yeah.
So either goes down to right now, because they're buying the apartment and then having a mortgage. So all this pay cash that I have either goes a little bit into the mortgage or goes down to pay off the credit card, put a little bit extra, that sort of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, I try to use everything, and I try not to burn it.
Yeah. I've heard about the strategy, and I think I do something similar. Not really, no. Yeah. To be honest, for me,
How do you budget that? What do you mean?
yeah. So look, this is a bit weird because I still live at home with my parents, and I imagine a lot of immigrants probably do as well because family is, everything.
How old are you again?
Oh mate, let's not go there.
No, but I was gonna say it's not bad because I literally, I was gonna say I got this apartment last year and then moved in with my partner here, and it's officially
officially you're an adult.
we
But,
moved out, got a place, and that's it.
so you would have been late 20s then, right? Oh, obviously,
Yeah, so pretty much I'm turning 30 this year, so that
the big 30.
yeah, so that means I technically moved out of my parents' place when I turned 28.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
So it was a long journey. And then a lot of people are going to be like, whoa, that is just sad.
Hey, look, it is what it is. But yeah,
But look, I
nothing
couldn't,
wrong with
like,
that.
to be honest, I can't say that I'm proud of it, but then at the end of the day, it's like, cool, I spend a bit more time with my parents. I got
100%,
happy to hang out with them as an adult and get that. But that's the other thing. I think I got lucky because some people cannot do that. Because imagine if you don't have a good relationship or there's that little friction with your parents, that sort of stuff. Yeah. And then especially for us, there's always that little bit of friction. Mm. Like it's not that you're perfect. So things that I do now in my apartment, parents would never allow me. That sort of stuff is like you got freedom, you can do whatever you want. So you're your own person. So that's a thing that's interesting.
Yeah, pros and cons for everything. Yeah, but yeah, for myself, I'm 24, and look, I have no issues with living with my parents. I think it's.
I was gonna say stay there until you get kicked out. So make sure you save everything.
To be very honest with you, I think with the house that we've built and everything else, I think my parents would be happy to keep me even once I get married, because it's just a dynamic that we have usually in South Asian households. But I think I would probably move out same age as you if I was to do it. I think it's a good age to do it, because obviously, as you said, you've got no one to impress. It's just you're spending more time with your parents and you're having that community your household dynamic aspect. So yeah,
I reckon that's something that's a bit unfair for us, because our communities they tend to stick around with the parents for a bit of time, and then for us it's normal, like there's no issues. Yeah. But then for all the cultures, it's like, what are you doing? Go live on your own.
Yeah, actually, I was reading some articles. A lot of people are planning or choosing to stay at home more. Like the age, I think, is increasing, because obviously you have to save up, deposit, all that stuff. So
that's what I was saying. Like I couldn't afford to rent.
Yeah. Like
if I had to rent, it'll be 1 bedroom on my own, and then having roommates and sort of stuff. Mm. And then I never had the need to actually whatever. I need a place. I don't want, like my parents, they annoy me, so whatever. Like I didn't have that excessive saying that I don't like being with them. Mm. Like we didn't have that many issues. To be honest.
Yeah. So you just get along. But yeah, like because of the fact that I'm living with parents, it's a bit weird. Like because I don't have to pay for like a rent. Of course, I help out around the house with bills and all that and cover the expenses. But the actual, how people pay rent to their parents, that's just I find it a weird concept, but people do that. I think some of them, what they do is they save the rent that their kids give them and they give it to them once they're like 18 or whatever. Not 18, but once they want to buy a house or move out. But yeah, I don't pay rent specifically, so it's a bit hard to sort of.
But you help at home pretty much.
Yeah.
So because that's the thing, it's for us, because we're working full time, we're saving a bit of money. It's like you can afford to actually help.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, I think as I make more money and get promotions and stuff, it's kind of like a responsibility that you have to do. Like your parents have done so much, and you're living in the house as a family, so you got to 100% contribute. But because of that, since I haven't lived out on my own, and I don't have these sort of expenses that you do, like a mortgage and this and that, I don't really budget, to be honest. Like what I do at the moment, it sounds very, very strange, but basically what I do is once I get paid, I transfer money into my brokerage account and I invest it. And then whatever is left over, I just spend that. And I don't really worry about spending too much, because I've realized that all the habits that I've built up over the past, 5.5 years, 6 years of working, the habits are good on their own, in a sense that I don't have to worry about sort of overspending, because I know that I won't overspend. I've kind of built up that skill, and I know that I'm not gonna spend impulse buy so much. So that's why I don't really budget. I think and it works fine. Like I feel like if I'm already investing a large amount of money in the markets, I can afford to just be a bit loose with the rest of the stuff. And
So you feel more comfortable pretty much.
Yeah, 100%. Like there's no constraint, like in that sense, which I'm very, very grateful for. And hopefully, keep doing this.
So you reckon your parents taught you a lot about budgeting and saving?
Look, not saving, yes, but not really budgeting. Because of course, when we came to Australia and growing up here, like there was a lot of saving and a lot of penny pinching that I saw in my household, which kind of flowed down to me. So I realized, when I was getting my first job and working, I realized, okay, saving is extremely important. It's important to do. And that's why, like, when I got my very first job, the first thing I did was save up $1,000 before even spending anything, which is weird because I was like 17 at the time. I should have spent the money, but
enjoy a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like whatever, buy a new PlayStation,
yeah, just anything, right? Yeah, but that was so ingrained into me that I saved up $1,000 before I spent anything. And I was working at Macca's then, so it took me like a couple of months to make $1,000 to save. But I still remember that because it's very extreme. Like a lot of 17, 18-year-olds would just spend the money, right? But the habits that were kind of ingrained into me, that's what it led down to. Not saying this is how everybody should be. I think you should definitely spend, like, it's your first job, you should spend the money, but it's just the habits that, cause you to make certain choices. Yeah.
And then up until now, pretty much whenever you get your salary, you pay bills at home, then invest and that sort of stuff. So you're helping your parents, that's very important.
Because like what happens is at the end of every month, I just transfer.
I was gonna say, probably continue story, but I was gonna ask, how did you find that? Did you find it hard to actually help parents pay bills at home, that sort of stuff, and invest at the same time? Because they're gonna say, yes, I did at the beginning, but I reckon that's because we probably were on, like, I was minimum wage back then when I was started.
Yeah. Okay, so there's two parts to it. So first thing is when I was back in uni and when I got my first full-time job and stuff, like I was very stingy and I didn't want to help parents. Sounds extremely bad, but it's the truth. And I'm going to be honest about saying this. Back then I was like 18,
I'll make sure your parents listen to this podcast, okay?
Yeah. But I was back then I was 18, 19. So I was still a child and I wasn't mature enough. But now it's gotten to the point where I realize, okay, you need to stop being a stupid little child, help the parents, you've got enough money. And now, I have no issues helping them out. But yeah, so basically, initially it was difficult because it's like an added expense that you have to account for now, like to helping out the parents. But now I'm just like pretty much, used to it, more open to, just having the expense there. But I think once you realize how much the household spends in a month, and then you can work out, okay, how much you spend and then how much you should be investing, then it kind of just works out, I feel like. So initially it's a bit tough, but then once you kind of look at what the spending patterns are, then you can start to be okay with it, yeah.
So as you got more experience, work, and pretty much finish uni, got your degree, so did you find it easier to do things as you got pay rises, made a bit extra money, and that sort of stuff?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. Because you realize that the money you have left over is a lot more. Like back then also, like I wasn't very...
So you didn't fall for lifestyle creep, any of that?
No, I've been very good with it. I feel like this year lifestyle creep has gone up a bit, but it's okay. It should go up. Like if you're making more, you should be spending more money, but obviously you should be investing and saving more too. But I think it's important to, like if you're making 50 grand a year and now you're making 70, of course there's going to be some changes there in terms of what you spend. So yeah, definitely, yep. I have started to, help out a bit more, like as the money went up, as the income went up, and it's been good.
I reckon something I have to say is good for me, budgeting that way, like zero-sum budget. I've linked it to my investing at the beginning, because then when I started investing, for me it was just all about dividend paying stocks.
Yeah.
Because then I was always thinking, oh look, my budget, whatever, I pay $100 on my phone, internet, the bundle, and I'm like, okay, cool. I want to make in 3 years' time or 5 years' time enough money of dividends to pay that off every month. So that's something that I did at the beginning, to be honest, to actually link it to my budget, that I wanted my dividends to pay the bills that I had back then. Yeah. I reckon right now I'm lucky because it's like I get $100 to $200 a week if I divide like the whole thing that I get in a year. And so I'm not complaining because then that helps pay the groceries now.
Yeah. Look at this guy.
But then, no, to be honest, but that's something that I did back then to link it.
Yeah.
And then it was always a bit of a push because then whatever extra bit that I had to invest, especially on dividends, is like, okay, chuck it in there because that means it's going to be 10 years time, another 10, $20. And then it's funny because at the beginning, when you start seeing that, like, it doesn't to attend to your budget, doesn't help. But then when you reach that level, it's like, cool, that actually it's helping pay bills.
Yeah, it's pretty a lot, yeah. And so over time, you found that with your diligent investing, your dividends first paid your phone bill, and now it's gotten to the point where it's also covering like your weekly groceries, which is pretty, good place to be at, and it's only going to grow from here onwards.
And then keep in mind, now is I got a mortgage, I got the dividends that help out, that sort of stuff, but then I still pay bills for mom and dad, that sort of stuff. So I'm still covering a couple of things here and there. Yeah. Like I wish I was able to cover everything, but it's like, I don't make that much money yet.
Yeah. And it's like the dynamic is fine between you and your parents in terms of you covering them, like some bills and
Because then your parents, they're of working age, yeah?
Yes, my dad is the only one that works at the moment, but they're working age, yeah.
Because my parents pretty much retired, pension, so it's a bit of a different dynamic. For me, it's like checking on them on how they're doing, if they're doing well, that sort of stuff. Yeah, which they tend to do well because then right now, Dad pretty much he gets bored at home, so he decides to visit all the RSLs around the area.
Was it what? All
the RSL clubs.
Oh yes.
He literally goes on a Monday, whatever ones that he likes, because they have, let's say, a seafood plate that he likes, so he goes for that.
Hey, his man's just living his life.
That's retirement for you.
Yeah. Wow. But in terms of looking at investing then, so you're following a dividend strategy. Now, obviously, you're working full-time as well. So do you find that you're getting, when you get paid dividends, of course, you have to pay tax on that. So, and you get franking credits too, but do you think is it not a better strategy to buy, say, ETFs that will grow in value over time? So you don't have to pay tax on them like straight away? Or have you thought about that?
I know what you mean, but then keep in mind, like ETFs, when you invest in them, you do pay taxes? Because they give you an annual statement that says whatever this is capital growth, is capital repayment, that sort of stuff. So technically you do. It's just that I have to say that because you don't have a huge amount, it doesn't hit you as much, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Because for me, pretty much, it hurts. Like pretty much if I sell a stock and then it's actually, got a capital gain, that sort of stuff, and nothing to offset it, like capital loss. Yeah, it does. But then I pretty much don't sell those because for me, there's no point of selling a company that I want to hold for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah.
That's another thing, like a bit of due diligence, and as well, keeping your thesis, in check, and keeping yourself in check to not do anything stupid, that sort of stuff. Yeah, because then best example I can give you is like right now the market is not going that well. So if I sell, I'm gonna sell at a loss, and then I don't want that. And pretty much that's what I mentioned before, that this year, which is funny, my portfolio is down, but I get dividends, and my dividends are higher compared to last year, which that was totally unexpected for me because I'm like, okay, the portfolio is down. That means dividends are gonna be down. It's like, no, it's up. I'm like, okay, I didn't expect that at all.
Things are wild. Yeah. So it's working out quite well.
So yeah, so far it's working out. Like when you talk about the tax minimization that ETFs do, I can't get that. Like you're never gonna get that unless you become like a wholesale investor and then you got a lot of money, that sort of stuff. But then that's very hard. But look, pretty much the only reason why I invested in dividend paying stocks is because I saw the growth, pretty much. Because then let's say it's funny because you see a dividend, for example, you get 10 cents per share. And then suddenly the next year that 10 cents become 15. Technically, that's a 50% growth on that dividend. Massive, It doesn't seem like it's a lot because we're talking cents, but then it compounds. Like when you talk about years of you doing that, it's a lot. Yeah. But look, the same thing with ETFs. Like when you invest more and over the time compounding, like it's magical pretty much.
Yeah. And that is the power of investing. But before, of course, we're talking about investing right now, but I think the very first step to take before you even, think about investing is to build up your emergency fund, right? Because you don't know what life is going to throw at you. Maybe you've got a horrible manager, you want to quit your job, or maybe you've lost your job, maybe you've been made redundant or something comes up. And ideally, you don't want to be selling your investments too early because obviously you stop the process of compounding. Either you sell at a loss or you have to pay tax on the selling. So, what are your tips for building an emergency fund?
Look, it's hard. I gotta say that. Like, it pretty much back then when I was making minimum wage and then had a lot of casual jobs and nothing that I could go there every day or whatever. Like, it's just, hey, we go for hours, can you come in? Like, it was hard.
Yeah.
The thing is, I reckon it took me probably like 4 years of me saving and investing to get to that stage, because then I wasn't able to save that much money. Like that's the thing. Yeah, so it was very tough. And then anyone that has bills and then helping your parents and as well you got family overseas and you're sending money over there to help out, it's hard. Because then whenever you see that you have a bit of spare cash, you don't think about, okay, I'm going to save and invest it. No, it's like, okay, I'm going to send it to them because they're in a worse position, so I got to help them out. So that happened a lot, I got to say that. So probably I stayed at jobs that I didn't want to stay or be at just because I couldn't leave, because I didn't have that little set of money aside that will save me and that sort of stuff. Like it took a while for me to actually think about, look, you know what, I'm going to leave because I had enough of that sort of stuff when those sort of jobs. But then it's hard. It's not something easy to actually get into. But look, if you're in the, let's say, right mindset, and then you have a couple of good months and then you're lucky, because I gotta say, like, lucky in that perspective, that for 6 months, let's say, you can save as much as you can and then have, like, let's say, a couple, like 3 months emergency budget, pretty much anything happens. You feel free, to be honest.
Yes.
Even if it's like saving 1 whole month of expenses, you still feel a bit free to actually think about what to do next more clearly.
It's a very good feeling. And the thing is, saving 3 months worth of your income or expenses, it's not FU money, right? You run out of the money, but the mental clarity you get even just by doing that is so insane. Like right now, I've saved up like 6 months worth of like expenses for myself. And, we've talked about it. Like I have, been having some tough times at the job. And, the thing is, right now I've got the power to basically just walk away and I'll be okay for, 6 months or whatever. I'm not going to do that because I can still, handle it. But like it gives you so much freedom and you think in a much more like better way when you don't have money weighing you down, like in a bad way. So 100% before anybody invests, the emergency fund is the way to go. At least 3 months, I think, is a minimum. Like I think 6 months is better, but
look, everyone's different. Like if you get lucky and then you can do it, is save a whole year, save 2 years, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Like if you can, just do it because it's whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah, comfortable is the right word. Yeah, like if you're in a household where you've got a partner that works as well, maybe you're okay with 3 months because maybe the other partner will always have a job. Not always, but like much more like likely for them to have a job while you don't have it. So it depends on the household, but yeah, 3 months minimum. I think like if COVID has taught us anything, it's important to.
And then to be clear, pretty much money saved up and then having money invested is 2 different things. Like you shouldn't be thinking that whatever amount you have invested, that's your savings. That's no savings at all.
That's a good point to make, because I feel like a lot of people might just think, okay, why do I need to have cash here? It's just earning like 1%.
Because look, worst case scenario, if something happens and it's an emergency and you have no savings, it's bad. And then that means you got to sell your investments. And if you have to, like you can't do much. Like if you need the money, you got to do it. And then you got to start from the beginning again. So that's why it's always good to, if you can, have a fair bit amount of savings.
Yeah, absolutely. And another point, it's not a big thing, but like it takes about 2 to 3 days to get your money back if you sell it in the stock market. So if you need money today, you're not going to be able to access it. So another thing to consider, 2 days, not a huge wait, but depending on what emergency you have, like, it's important to have cash available. So this episode has gone on for about 22 minutes in terms of budgeting, saving, investing. We've talked about it in a very high level. Is there anything else you want to add in? Or because I think for me, the important thing to consider is setting up some sort of a budget that will allow you to, create your savings, and then you can start to invest. So I think that's the high level of how it should work. But what do you think?
I reckon we covered as much as we can. We probably can do another part 2 about this.
Yeah. Alrighty, so guys, thank you for listening. Our goal is to help every first, second, and third generation immigrant in Australia as little and as much as we can, because as we said before, we didn't have the support when we came to Australia. Being an immigrant, our experiences have an added complexity because we're learning a new language, trying to fit into a new culture. We have no friends or relatives to guide us, and we have no community when it comes to tough times.
And if you're new to Australia or you've been here for a bit of time, please reach out. Like, we want to build a community of immigrants that are willing to and able to help each other without any expectation. So if any part of this podcast resonated with you, leave us a review in Apple Podcasts, helps a lot. And anything else, just reach out.
Yep. Lastly, give us a follow on Patreon for exclusive content. Please share us on your socials and your friends and family, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.